sorry, Mr. Salas. R before S. R.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I want to start by accepting the amendments listed on page 10 of the analysis. I'm currently working with cannabis stakeholders to address their concerns and plan to remove them from the bill at a later date. And thank you to the chair and committee for helping me work through this bill. With the amendments of AB 1690, this bill will transition the sale of all-in-one disposable vapes, which are not rechargeable, to reusable and rechargeable smoking products to address the impacts that these single-use products have on our health and environment. According to the CDC, the United States is experiencing an epidemic of lung injury associated with youth electronic cigarette use of vapes. In 2018, over 20% of U.S. high school students reported using vapes in schools, including classrooms and bathrooms. The use of disposable e-cigarettes increased about 1,000% among high school e-cigarette users in 2020. Teens may not realize that nicotine is deeply addictive. The nicotine from these vape products can spell trouble at any life stage, but it's dangerous before the age of 25 because the brain is not fully developed. Nicotine actually changes adolescents' brain cell activity in the parts of the brain responsible for attention, learning, and memory. It can also worsen anxiety. Studies have found that it contains lead and volatile organic compounds, some of which are linked to cancer. As vape usage surges in the United States, they often overlooked for the fire danger that they pose for waste and recycling workers. According to the FDA, vapes can catch on fire or explode and seriously hurt people. A vape pen's main safety issue lies in the lithium-ion battery it contains to fuel the heating element or atomizer. I'm not sure how to say that. Lithium-ion batteries are quite powerful and spark thermal events or fires when they're damaged. The shape and construction of electronic cigarettes can make them behave like flaming rockets when a battery fails. Between January 2009 and December 31st, 2016, 195 separate incidents of explosion and fire involving an electronic cigarette were reported by the U.S. media. 62% of the incidents of explosion involving an electronic cigarette or its battery occurred when the device was either in a pocket or actively in use. Additionally, vapes can also contain heavy metals, battery acid, nicotine, and other harmful chemicals. Improperly disposing of these all-in-one disposable vapes are known to leach toxic chemicals into the environment, pollute water, and harm wildlife. The microplastics and hazardous chemicals that leach from this vape waste accumulates in the food chain and affects whole ecosystems, including the health of soils. Current law, passed in 1989 and AB 939, set our waste hierarchy at source reduction first, then recycling. Reusable vapes are already widely available on the market and are a less wasteful alternative and align with California's waste hierarchy. By moving away from all-in-one disposable vapes, the smoking industry will be driven to transition their products to be less wasteful. Today, I have Heidi Sanborn, Executive Director of the National Stewardship Action Council, serving as our witness. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Member Rivas, Chair and members. I'm Heidi Sanborn, the Executive Director of the National Stewardship Action Council, a nonprofit that advocates for a circular and equitable economy, and we are the sponsor of AB 1690. As discussed, both committees' suggested amendments have been accepted, and the proposed 1690 you will be voting on today is different than the bill in print. Therefore, I'll only focus on the amended version and single-use vaping products in my testimony. Non-rechargeable vaping devices include a battery that cannot be removed or recharged. Batteries are considered universal waste in California and are prohibited from disposal. However, many non-rechargeable electronic vaping devices we find online are advertised and labeled as disposable, which implies that they can be disposed of in the trash. Therefore, many consumers do not know that they are hazardous and do throw them in the trash and the recycling illegally. The frequent jostling, crushing, and shredding in the waste and recycling streams can cause batteries to be damaged and ignite, catching fire to adjacent materials. And vaping via disposable products, quote unquote, is on the rise for both tobacco and cannabis products. Among youth, e-cigarettes, especially disposables, are more popular than traditional tobacco products. According to the 2021 National Youth Tobacco Survey, more than 2 million U.S. middle and high school students reported using e-cigarettes in 2021. Non-rechargeable vapes are more affordable and therefore more accessible to children and teens. The use of disposable e-cigarettes increased more than 400% in middle school, the middle schoolers that use e-cigarettes in 2020. Regarding the environmental and public health impacts of non-rechargeable vaping products, Member Rivas mentioned some points and I'll add a few more. When electronic vaping products are improperly disposed in the environment, toxins and plastics leach into our environment and impact people and wildlife without the ability to protect themselves from exposure. Just this last week, it was reported that researchers have found microplastics in human blood for the first time, with scientists finding tiny particles in almost 80% of the people tested. Additionally, the statewide Ocean Protection Council adopted on February 23rd the first in the nation statewide microplastic strategy, which included the recommendation to prohibit the sale of single-use tobacco products that demonstrably contribute to tobacco product plastic pollution, including but not limited to electronic cigarettes. Additionally, the California 16-member statewide recycling commission, which I chair, voted unanimously to approve a policy recommendation that, quote, some products are just toxic and unnecessary and have safer and cheaper alternatives, making their sale unnecessary and costly, including single-use vaping products. The commission includes representatives from governments, waste haulers, nonprofits, and unions. So we thank the Health Committee staff for their help and hope that this amended version will pass out of committee today. And I want to thank Assembly Member Luz Rivas, Cody Petrie Norris, and Mark Stone for their leadership on this bill, the two principal co-authors, Christina Garcia and Phil Ting, as well as the 16 other co-authors, including Member McCarty, and urge your aye vote today on AB 1690.
Thank you very much. Is there opposition to this bill? See no one in the audience. We'll go ahead and take support or opposition. Just your name, position on the bill, and any organization if you represent one.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Priscilla Quiros on behalf of California Product Stewardship Council, Alameda Stop Waste, California Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and Western Placer Waste Management Authority, all in support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lydia Bourne representing the Health Officers Association of California in support.
Thank you. Anyone else? See no one to go to the phone lines now, Mr. Operator, so we're taking support or opposition, just your name, position on the bill, and organization if you represent one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For comments in support or opposition, please press 1, then 0. That command again, 1, then 0. And first, we will go to line 130.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Clara Vazek, representing Californians Against Waste, here to testify in support of AB 1690.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 20.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Erika Romero on behalf of Rethink Waste and strong support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 189.
Barbara Gordon, Youth. I'm in support of AB 1690.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 206.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Alice Kessler on behalf of the California Charter Schools Association and support.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 106.
Sarah Armstrong on behalf of Americans for Safe Access. We remain opposed to the bill until such time as medical cannabis devices are removed.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 207.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. This is Michelle Fuller with Aaron Reed and Associates, and I'm calling on behalf of the Peace Officers Research Association of California, PORAC. And based on the amendments taken today, PORAC will likely be removing our opposition to AB 1690. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 191.
Good afternoon, committee members. This is Ann Riddle. I serve as the chair of the Mental Health Committee for the North Coastal Parent Association. We are in strong support of AB 1690. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 202.
This is Diane Grace in strong support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 190.
This is Lawrence Gayden on behalf of the California Manufacturers and Technology Association. We're listed as an opposed position, but with the committee amendments, we will likely be removing our opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 173.
This is Becky Rapp with Parents United Against Smoking and Vaping, and we strongly support AB 1690. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 194.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Amy Jenkins on behalf of the California Cannabis Industry Association. Just want to express our gratitude to the author and the sponsors for continuing to work with the industry and appreciate the announcement today about the upcoming amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 151.
Good afternoon. This is Brenda Bass with the California Chamber of Commerce. We were listed as an opposed, but based on the amendments that have been taken today, we will likely be removing our opposition as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 63.
Hello, Chair and members. My name is Miha Laguerre, and on behalf of the Surfrider Foundation, we're in support of AB 1690. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 210.
Hello, Chair and members. This is Jordan Wells on behalf of the dozen organizations that make up the Clean Seas Lobbying Coalition in strong support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 211.
Hello, this is Kelly McCormick from the California Alliance on Mental Health. We strongly support AB 1690. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Line 212.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Jim Lindberg on behalf of the Friends Committee on Legislation of California in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
And Mr. Chair, there are no further comments at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll bring it back to the committee for questions or comments. Any questions or comments from the committee? I do have some comments, and so I will go ahead. So first of all, I want to thank you for all your hard work on this bill. It's a very important issue. We need to acknowledge that cigarette butts are quite likely the most littered item on the planet. Smoking is my enemy. I've been a passionate anti-smoking advocate my entire life. So my aversion to smoking made this bill particularly challenging. I've repeatedly shown myself as a protector of the environment, so one would think I would be supportive of the bill. However, my concern and the concern that many members of the committee brought to me is that banning the product would simply not solve the litter problem, and I'm talking about the filters in the cigarettes. So cigarettes will continue to be smuggled into the state or purchased outside the state. Sovereign tribes could still sell cigarettes with filters on their land, and that means banning the product would not stop littering or smoking in California. I think we need a different solution to the litter problem, and I have confidence that the author can do that. And so we've offered these amendments, which you have accepted, which I thank you for that. And I thank you so much for working with me on this bill. The bill, as amended, as you've accepted, does enjoy a due pass recommendation. It would be due pass as amended to the Judiciary Committee. Is there a motion? Motion by Ms. Aguirre-Curry, a second by Ms. Carrillo. Would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your leadership on this issue. I hope that in the future we'll be able to work together on a solution on cigarette filters. I'd like to thank Heidi Sanborn and the National Stewardship Action Council for partnership on this bill and the hard work that she and the organization have put in. And I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rivas, and thank you to your witness. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Wood?
Aye.
Wood, aye. Waldron? Waldron, no. Aguirre Curry? Aguirre Curry, aye. Arambula? Bigelow? Carrillo? Carrillo, aye. Flora? Mainshine? Mays? McCarty? McCarty, aye. Nazarian? Nazarian, aye. Rivas?
Aye.
Rivas, aye. Rodriguez? Rodriguez, aye. Santiago? Calra? Calra, aye. 8.
Your bill has 8 votes. It's out. We will leave the roll open for others to add on.